Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to a video that I don't even know what it is. I mean, you'll obviously know by the video and the title and the thumbnail, but I don't know what this is yet. So I put out a quick little post here asking people to recommend me a video, and I'll react to the very first one. This person reacted to or sent a video in. I don't even know what it's about. So I'm gonna click it, and hopefully it's not like a meme or like 20 hours long or something. It is ads. Okay, we hate ads. But it's the Rigveda Indian Creation Myth by Peter Bolland. Okay, well, let's get this over to my actual page here. Okay, so the video is Rigveda Indian Creation Myth. By Peter Bolland. It's 15 minutes long. Okay, so it's not 20 hours long. That's good. In this video, we continue our study of creation myths by reading from the Rigveda. I'm probably butchering that terribly. I apologize. Perhaps the world's oldest recorded creation story. Right away, striking features emerge as we compare it with Genesis. The dramatic difference between Eastern, Western religions and mythology comes into focus. I think before we even get into this, video here, I think there is something that has been lost in humanity. This is genuinely what I think. I think there is knowledge or there is history that has escaped our grasp. I do truly believe that like quote unquote modern humanity, modern humans, we go a lot further back than what is in the history books, right? And I do think a lot of these relation myths, these creation myths, these religious myths from a bunch of different religions, all come from a very similar source. So that's just my personal perspective ahead of it. So yeah, I don't know anything about the Indian creation myth. So I guess we should watch this. Without further ado, Mr. Peter Bolland. Of course, this video will be in the description down below. Let's get into it.
Hi, and welcome to another in our continuing series here on world mythology,
Hello.
specifically cosmogonies or creation stories. So we're having fun looking at a bunch of different creation stories from different cultures and comparing them and contrasting them and looking for archetypes and interpreting them. And also,
I like this guy's layout. It's not like filled with random, I don't know, tat. It's just it actually looks like it is like has some cohesion to it. It's filled with like I don't know. It feels very like historical almost.
also applying, of course, Joseph Campbell's really helpful four functions of myth: the metaphysical or mystical function, the cosmological function, the sociological function, and the pedagogical function. And we're asking, I think, important questions about what is the purpose of these stories. So let's continue that work, or is it play, today by looking at a powerful ancient story from the Indian tradition that we call Hinduism in the West. And it is from one of the most ancient scriptures on the planet called the Rigveda.
The Rigveda. Okay,
And it's not in our mythology
maybe.
book. I'm pulling it from a book I use in my world religion.
The world's wisdom. Where's my phone at? All right, the world's wisdom. I just ordered it off of Amazon, so I don't know. It seems interesting. I'm already interested just from the half second this guy talked about it.
Religions classes, a wonderful anthology of world scripture called The World's Wisdom, put together by a guy called Philip Novak. So I'm looking at a passage from the Rig Veda that is obviously a creation story. And all I want to do is kind of read it into the record today and drop in and out of it to make some comments. And what I would suggest is that you kind of compare it in your mind to what you recall about the Genesis.
Okay, so I of course, being American, I was born Catholic, raised Christian. I'm right now I'm agnostic. I don't follow any particular religion or beliefs. I'm very spiritual in a sense. I have seen some things about Hinduism that I really, really enjoy. I feel like a connection to. But I'm not following any particular religion at this point in time. But I do know a lot of creation myths from different religions. So I will be able to understand the comparison at the very least.
Creation story. How is this Indian story from the Rigveda similar to the Genesis story, and how is it different? You know, that compare and contrast technique, which always reveals a lot and gives us huge insights into deeper meanings of both of the stories. So the Vedas are ancient texts, we believe, written down between, say, 1500 BCE and maybe 700 BCE.
1500 to 700 BCE. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Um, Also, before we get into the video a little bit more, I do want to say this actually kind of co-aligns. I think potentially what he's going to be talking about. It kind of co-aligns with one of my favorite movies. It's called A Man from Earth. And it's a story of, it's a very, very simple, like one scene story, shot in a cabin. And it's just, this man explaining to his colleagues how, in actuality, he is, thousands of years old and he's traveled the world and, he was mistaken as Jesus. He was taught by Buddha, stuff like that. So, well, I don't know. It made me think of it. Like this video just made me think of that movie. I remember watching that movie, gosh, when I was in high school, and it really touched me. Like I really, really enjoy that movie. I highly recommend it. I don't know if you can watch it anywhere, but it's a very good movie. It's a very slow burn. It's a very talky movie. It's literally just a group of people talking in a cabin. It's fantastic.
So over a number of centuries, basically 3,000 years ago, these scriptures were recorded by the Brahmins, by the priests of early Hinduism, before the Upanishads, before the Bhagavad Gita and all the rest of it. But what we're going to establish with this story is really the beginning of the Hindu world view, something that we will take up again a little later when we think about gods and archetypes, or God as archetype. So let's jump into the story. Then even nothingness was not, nor existence. All right, I gotta stop already.
He's got to stop already. That's just like me. I love it.
So instead of in the beginning, like in the Bible, it says then, even nothingness was not, nor existence.
I mean, that's the Big Bang
So
Theory.
what was this primordial state like? There was nothing, and I can kind of understand what nothingness might be. That's the absence of something, right?
The nothingness is also not just emptiness. If you think about like the emptiness, the vastness of space, that is not nothingness. That is something. That is emptiness. You got to think of like a nothingness as even devoid of being empty, which is a hard concept to wrap your brain around.
Right? Complete vacuum. But then it says, and there wasn't even nothing.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? What is the absence of nothingness? So this is already amazingly weird stuff. We're talking about some primordial state before the duality of being and non-being came into existence. So before that even.
And so this is even before, like I don't know very much about Hinduism or their creation myth or the Bhagavad Gita or anything like that, or the Rigveda. But like this is actually something that I've believed in myself. Just upon my own reflection, upon my own meditation, this is like, for me, this is the start, and I've not even I needed like any other connection to any religious or scientific explanation for it to have that feeling.
I gotta go faster because that was just one line. Let me read it again. Then even nothingness was not, nor existence. There was no air then, nor the heavens beyond it. What covered it? Where was it? In whose keeping? Was there then a cosmic water in depths unfathomed? There's so often this primordial sea that comes up in a lot of creation stories, huh? Second part. Then there were neither death nor immortality, nor was there then the torch of night and day. So again, none of the dualities had yet come about. The one breathed windlessly and self-sustaining. There was that one then, and there was no other. And one in the text here is capital O. So suddenly, before any of the dualities, we have this something called the one. Is it a God, or we don't know? Just the one. At first there was only darkness wrapped in darkness. All this was only unillumined water. That one which came to be, enclosed in nothing, arose at last, born of the power of heat. In the beginning, desire descended on it. That was the primal seed, born of the mind. The sages who have searched their hearts with wisdom know that which exists is related to that which does not exist. But after all, who knows and who can say whence it all came and how creation happened? The gods themselves are later than creation. So who knows truly whence it has arisen? Did you hear that? Did you catch that? The gods aren't even on the scene yet. The gods are later.
So the creation was a completely separate factor from the gods themselves. Like if you look at like Christianity, for example, like Christianity, God himself created everything, right? But in this instance, in the Rigveda, there was creation before the gods. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I gotta listen to more.
Later than this creation. So whatever primordial creation moment is being described here, it does not involve any god or gods. They come later. Let me wrap it up with the last 4 lines. Whence all creation had its origin. He, whether he fashioned it or whether he did not. Suddenly the male pronoun creeps in. He who surveys it all
What's wrong with the male pronoun?
From highest heaven, he knows. Or maybe even he does not know. So, wow. This is pretty different than Genesis in a couple of key ways, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure it is.
First thing that hits me, and I bet it's occurring to a lot of you as well, is the tone, right? Let's talk like an English class for a second. What is the voice like of this text? You know, the voice of the writer. And in Genesis, the voice is authoritative. It's as if there's a scribe there at the beginning, and God said, "Let there be light," and let me write all that down. And so Genesis just sort of declares this happened, declares that happened. Very authoritatively. Whereas here in the Rigveda, it's like, well,
it kind of just like, okay, well, this happened. You want to know how it happened? Well, this happened. Then that happened. And then the gods came.
This happened and this happened and then...
Oh! Listen. Okay. That's funny.
Maybe this and maybe that, but who really knows? And there's a lot of questions. So the Rigveda is an invitation into an inquiry, whereas Genesis is a manifesto, a statement, a declaration of fact, or of unambiguous events. So there's a different literary voice or a different literary tone. What you also notice, though, is the role of the gods, and this is key for us in our understanding of Eastern religion and Western religion. In Western religion, here in the Genesis account, in the Bible, God exists before the universe, right? We call that ex nihilo, out of nothing. So God exists alone, and then out of his omnipotence, out of his limitless power, he simply makes there be matter and energy and light and water and sky. He builds the cosmos out of his mind, out of nothing. So there's nothing above God that made God. God has always existed. That's the claim in the Western traditions. Whereas here in India, we start at the beginning before there was even any gods.
I see. I think that would. I enjoy this interpretation more of like of a creation myth, where existence, the universe in of itself, is beyond even what beyond in a realm that even like the gods can't touch. Right. I really enjoy this. I don't know. Like it just this piques my interest. This makes me want to learn more about, this story, this myth, this religion, right? Like this actually interests me.
So, in other words, in the Western traditions, God is the ultimate reality, the source of everything. But in the Indian traditions, all of the gods, and we'll talk more later about the pantheons and the various gods and goddesses.
So like in the Western religion, it's more strict. Like, hey, this is a codex. This is what happened no matter what. And you're going to stick to that codex. You're going to stick to this story. But in this, in the Hinduism here, it's like, okay, well, here is what could have happened. Why don't you go and explore that? Try to come to an understanding yourself. And that's what I'm just grasping, just purely based off of this, little bit understanding of what he's saying here. And I don't know. I like that. I like something that says, okay, go and learn. That's what I want in life, is to learn more. And that's why I'm doing this channel, is to learn more. So if something is telling me, okay, here is something vague, go and learn about it. That's what I like. And I think that this kind of co-aligns with, like, science as well. It's like, okay, you can use science, you can utilize science to try to have a better, deeper understanding of the universe, right?
All of the gods in the Indian tradition are not the ultimate cause of the universe. They are part of the created universe. The gods just work here. They aren't the ultimate source of everything. They're part of the pouring forth of the one, as is everything else, as are you and I. So in this Hindu worldview, all pours forth from the one, the way spiderweb comes out of a spider. And everything that takes embodied form out here in the world, us, rocks, trees, gods and goddesses, everything that takes form out here in the world of embodied forms retains its unseverable, unbreakable unity with the one. That's the great insight of the Upanishads later in Hinduism. All is one.
I like
you
that.
Get the
I like that. It's an explanation of everything being connected. And I've always thought of it that way. Everything is connected. Everything has some sort of, you can like trace things back to a singular connection. Even like humanity, humans are all connected. We should, instead of being divided, instead of attacking each other based off religion, cultural, ethnic diversions, we should all coexist and appreciate each other for our differences, and come together and explore the world, explore the galaxy, explore the universe together. Yeah. Anyways.
Of that idea right here in the Rigveda. But I think that's such a key distinction on the way gods are used in these different creation stories. In the biblical story, there's nothing above God. God is the ruler supreme and the literal source of everything, self-caused or always existing.
That is, I've never really thought about it, but that is extremely close-minded. It's like, you know what's at the top, why even bother at that point, right? Like, why? Hmm. Interesting.
And here in the Indian traditions, we see there is something called the One that remains undefined in this Rigveda, but it is not a god. It precedes the gods, right? It comes before them and is the source of all of the gods. And many have made this comment as well as we study the Indian origin stories, that the Rigveda and other creation stories in the later texts called the Upanishads parallel rather beautifully what we currently understand about the origins of the universe in our astrophysics. You know, that the universe is an explosion and everything is moving out. You know, when we look through our telescopes, we see all of the objects around us are moving away from us, and the furthest objects are moving away from us the fastest. And that's how we get the Big Bang Theory, right? The universe appears to be an explosion in progress, and everything's doing this. And that one could logically conclude that, therefore, in some ancient distant past, everything in the universe was a singularity, a one.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, even like, just from my understanding of it, my very, very basic understanding of it, like, it feels like, from what I've seen in this video and what I've looked up in before, the little bit that I know about like Hinduism and stuff, it feels very, I don't know. It feels like you can apply the religious mythos, the religious text, to science, right? And that's what I like. Like, it can coexist with science, and not to say that, like Christianity can't, or like Catholicism or something like that can't coexist with science, but I feel like science and Hinduism can connect to each other even better.
And then that it exploded and expanded out into all of this. Now, it aligns beautifully with this ancient Indian poetry. How the heck did these sages and seers 3,000 years ago or more, 4,000 years ago in ancient India, they didn't know about the Big Bang Theory. They didn't have
Maybe they did. Maybe they did.
telescopes and particle accelerators and electron microscopes. They didn't know about atoms and solar systems and galaxies and electrons and all.
Well, the concept of an atom was known around that time period, right? Like, there's no way to, they couldn't prove it, but like the actual concept of itself, like the name atom comes from like an ancient like Greek word for atom. I don't know.
All of that. And yet, out of their wisdom, traditions, and practices, they left behind for us these 4,000-year-old sacred scriptures, these poems about the origin of time, the origin of form, the origin of matter, the origin of energy, the origin of consciousness, in these mysterious passages that suggest more than they declare. So I wanted to put into our thinking the Rigveda, just to have another example of a creation story, and also to contrast it with the much more declarative biblical creation story. Plus, when we move into our study of pantheons and God as archetypes, we'll circle back around to this Indian tradition and pick up the thread that we began to tug today. This idea of the one will later, in more developed Hinduism and in Vedanta philosophy, specifically from the Upanishads, the one gets a name. It becomes known as Brahman. Brahman is the name of the one, the sacred formless source, the eternal sacred formless source that enters into temporality, enters into time, takes form, as me, as you, as everything else, and that we all are identical to Brahman still. That namaste sign that people do, right? The sacred presence within me recognizes the sacred presence within you. That gesture, that famous Hindu gesture, embodies this insight that we are all part of the one and remain unified with the one, only we don't know it because we're lost in a field of ignorance. The Garden of Eden had us getting kicked out of paradise and separate from God that way. The Hindu systems have us cast out into Maya, ignorant of our sacred origin, out of touch with our own fundamentally divine core. So those are some of the threads that we're going to continue to tug and pull and explore as we can trace the ramifications of these cosmogonies, these creation stories. Great. See you on the other side.
Okay, well, that was really interesting. That was genuinely, without a shadow of a doubt, extremely interesting. I didn't know of this particular like origin story or this creation myth from Hinduism, um, and it's really interesting. Like he said in this, like it feels like it's a lot. It's more open to interpretation. It's more open to like an actual explanation of what's happening, what's going on. It's more open to like just going out there and trying to figure out the answer on your own. And you know, if you like connect it, you can like have like say in a vague sense, it can be connected to like Christianity as well. Because let there be light, there was nothing, and then God created light. You can also say that's like like the Big Bang theory is when God created light, it created the universe. That could be like an explosion of like the Big Bang theory. And then in this instance as well, there was literally nothing, and then there was nothing. There was no nothingness, and then you know life was breath out into it, and that could be also be like the Big Bang theory creationism as well. Um, God, it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about, to be honest with you. Um, I had ordered I ordered this book that he showed in here, The World's Wisdom. I had also well, I was looking at ordering the Bhagavad Gita is of the Bhagavad Gita. Is that how you correctly say it? There's an authentic English translation here that I was hoping to grab as well. I was debating on it, but I think I might pick it up too. I might. We'll see. I think I will. Why not? Why not? Why not? I want to learn. I want to learn. And can you blame me for wanting to learn? That's what I like to do. Is I like to learn. Anyways, I'm going to read some comments here. And see what other people have to say. I like the way he spoke. It was a very soft tone, but it felt like he was able to convey what he was saying very well. I want to be able to speak like that one day. The one referred to is not male, it's genderless, source of all reality. We call Brahman. In Vedas, the supreme power, perfect and complete in Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are just attributes. I wonder if it being described as a he with the male pronouns is more of like English translation type of thing, rather than like actually contributing it to it being male. It's the source. It's complete. It doesn't need anything. Perfection. The beautiful thing about the hymn, is that it does not attempt to answer the questions. It just raises them. The hymn ends with a question, a sort of cliffhanger. It drives home the fact that it's a mystery and that we will never know. I enjoyed that aspect as well. Like I want to learn more. It makes me want to learn more. Right? It piques my curiosity. I'm Hindu, but still I have to learn so many things which is written in the Vedas. Thank you, sir, for these insights. The Rigveda is much older than most think it is. Before it was written, it was sung, passed on orally. That's why it survived Alexander the Great's religious extinction campaign, When there is no foundation, no house of God can't be torn down. Great video. Oh yeah, I think it's. He said in the video it was like 3 to 4 thousand years old. I think it's way older than that. I think it. I like I said before at the very beginning. I think there's an episode of humanity that has long been lost to history and to time, and I think that tens of thousands of years ago, humans were, preaching or singing these creation myths all the same, right? I truly believe that. And it's just lost in time. And every day, the more that is learned, there's more things learned every day that prove that fact that humanity was a lot more advanced a lot early on. Now, I'm not saying that they were flying and had space machines or anything, but what I'm saying is advanced in the sense of they were more than just hunter gatherers, right? These ancient sages didn't know about atom, planets, physics is a gross understatement. Fact of the matter is these sages knew Earth was a sphere. Yep, they knew that. It was known that Earth was a sphere long ago. Mentioned about subatomic particles, knew about the solar system and its planets and more. Something really weird was indeed going on in the past. Maybe the Vedas are much, much older than we think. Maybe the so-called sages were indeed scientists belonging to a very advanced ancient civilization. I don't want to say it very advanced, but I would say a more advanced than we understand. Maybe the knowledge was gifted to them by beings from other planets or planetary systems. I don't know about that one. There are 14 planetary systems or categories according to the Rigveda. We so-called modern humans have lost all past knowledge. I would say, well, see, this is where I'm skeptical on like other planets and planetary systems. Like, I know there's like the whole ancient aliens attribution that can be placed on a lot of things. It's like I would need more proof for me to recognize that as a thing. Being Indian, the Vedas are my heritage, my inheritance. It's only when I see the joy in Mr. Bolland's soul, when I see his eyes light up from within as he ingests the creation sukta, word by fascinating word, do I understand? Do I get introduced to the fact of how rich I am to be Indian and how beyond everything and nothing I am to be part of the Brahman? Thank you, Mr. Bolland. The hymn we are explaining in these Nasadya Suktam, Rigveda 10th Mandala chapter. Thanks for explaining that in a very poetic way from Tamar Nadu. Say that right? I can't speak. My mouth is all messed up. Um, Hello everyone. I'm just popping in today, 6 months after shooting the video, to say thank you. Thanks for making this #1 video on my channel. It's also the one of the most comments, most likes, and most thumbs down. Most thumbs down. Thank you especially to all the folks from India who have watched and commented on this video. Judging by all the negative thumbs down and critical comments, there's clearly a cultural divide at work here. I made these videos for my 45th World Mythology students here in Southwestern College in Chula Vista, just south of San Diego, California. I never realized that it would be viewed by thousands of people all over the world. In that class, we study myths, which to us means truths, ancient, poetic, metaphorical, symbolic stories that try to convey the ineffable, that try to say the unsayable. We studied the Rig Veda alongside Popol Vuh of the Mayans, the Enuma Elish of the Sumerians, the Pyramid Texts of the Egyptians, the Prose Edda of Norse mythology, the Book of Genesis of the Judeo-Christian tradition, and many more. That so many took umbrage at hearing the Rig Veda referred to as a myth caught me by surprise. To me, calling something a myth is highly praised, so thank you all for the critics on this thread for reminding me of a rich diversity of perspective in this world. Interesting. Totally understandable. Thanks for the love. You obviously lack the depth to understand the lines of the Rig Veda questioning the creation of the creator. A much higher level of philosophy is needed, but for you, just sit down, close your eyes, and think, who created the universe? Lots of Chinese, Pakistani bots pretending to be Hindu and defending Hinduism. You have good hold over all religion. Should teach some good university. The starting line refers to the event before Big Bang. So before Big Bang, there was nothing. Okay. This is a bit rude. Can we just understand that? Like, it's a bit rude. Telling someone to sit down, don't overstep their lines, don't question. It's a bit rude. I'm going to look at some of the newer comments. Great explanation in 60 minutes. Great teacher. This is wonderful. Your pad is sick. The purpose of the story is given to the Gita. The essence of Vedas without the flowery words and with stories is given in the Gita. Too long. Too long to read that. By the way, the ancient. Oh, this is like a whole stream of characters as well. Let's just scroll a little bit. All right, not properly researched. Lot of wrong information and misinformation. Vedas are much older. Okay, he should link if he's saying that it's not properly researched, and there's a lot of wrong and misinformation. He should link the correct information instead of just sitting there saying, "Oh, you got that all wrong." Why don't you link saying, "Well, that is wrong according to my sources," and then you link the sources, right? Like that's the appropriate thing to do. Myth means falsehood. It's not myth. He explained that, what he meant by myths. I've read the Bible full of pulp fiction, fully bored with UT. Okay. Veda's oldest written scripture may be available as old as 1500 BCE, but that doesn't mean it was written then only. Like I said, I believe that it could be even older beyond that, for sure. Well, he replied to this. Um, oh my God. Hello, Peter. Listen to your English translation with some interest. So here is the Sanskrit language. If you're able to translate, interpret it in a simplified manner without use of Google Translator. See, this person, like, he actually like gave something. No, I'm sorry, I do not read Sanskrit. Maybe in some other life. Okay. I asked only because translation from into. Okay, so there was nothing that was always there for us, and there was no dust in the sky beyond us. What is the water that is so deep and deep? Whose shame is it? There was no death, no nectar, no night, no day, no lights. He brought the winds with his own sacrifice, and therefore he did not choose anything else. There was no dark. There was darkness in the sky, and the water was all of us. The glory of austerities. Never heard of that word before. That were covered by insignificant was born alone. Lust was the first semen of the mind that was present before. The learned and intelligent have to wait in the hearts for their friends of the true. I think this translation is kind of like, I don't know. The rays of oblique spread and are sweaty below them, sweaty above them. There were sources of semen, the source of glory, the source of offering, source of the universe. Who knows half of it? Who told it? Where did it come from? And where did it come from? I think this translation isn't very. I don't know. Unless it's accurate, let me know in the comments. Who knows where Agnivedas come from when they were discharged? This is a creation that came about, whether it gave birth or not. He who is the head of the universe in the highest heavens, whether he knows it or not, knows it. Okay. The Vedas are written by Rishi. They are like Brahmins or Brahmins. English is a very difficult language to understand. The Rigveda, the gods create, the one emanates. Why did you categorize it as a myth? Namaste. I believe the use of he is a mistranslation. Brahmin is genderless and undefined Hinduism. Okay. It's very poor Hindu indeed. Who do not question each and everything in search for truth, even the gods and himself, and this level of thought emanating from so far in the past is a reminder to keep on questioning. Myth? Question mark? Question mark? Interesting. People. That's fine. Those gods which work here are like angels of Christianity and Islam, which hold high positions. Whereas Brahm, who is the ultimate reality, he existed before everything. Words like myth and Hindu stories you use were very hurtful. Would you call Jesus a mythical creature? I would call Jesus a mythical creature. Is that crazy? Is that crazy? I would say Jesus is a mythical creature. Okay. I've addressed this so many times in these comments. You and I are using the word myth differently. You are using it to mean fiction, fake, or lie. I'm using it to mean deeply profound, allegorical stories full of truth and meaning. Here, myth means something different. I've addressed this many times. He says copy and paste. That's funny. I apologize sincerely. I should have read the dictionary first. I stand corrected. Honestly speaking, myth and mythology has generally been used in the context I was trying to specify. I'll be careful. Thank you, Peter. Since apology for misunderstanding, I've edited my comment. Okay. Veda is not mythology. It's most a rational message of the sages. Thank for your elaborate comment. God walked among the humans, and there is solid proof of it. I just love your interior home heart as well. Thank you. He pronoun is what is added in English translation. Sanskrit would refer to it. The one is genderless. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So a lot of people like the fact that he talked about it. A lot of people were angry that he labeled it as a myth, but a myth does not mean fake. A myth does not mean something is untrue. A myth just means it's a story of the past, right? It's a story that that has things beyond our understanding, or things that are more grandiose than our recollection. I like the video. This video made me want to learn more about it. So I'm very, very grateful to the person who recommended it to me. Who recommended it to me? Let's go back and take a look. It was Geoguessr 2885. I completely butchered that name. I know that for sure. Oh, it's gone. What happened to it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Weird. Let's see some other things here. Please react on it. This video. Check out this from my city, The Last Jews of Calcutta. The alarming rise of racism against Indians by Sham Sharma. This is a serious issue and is getting worse. Some interesting videos by Pravin Mohan. All right, so let's see what this guy recommended. Let's see what this guy recommended. I'm just curious to see. See, this is an hour and 30 minutes. It's like a school teaching. That one would have been a rough reaction. The Last Jews of Calcutta. This seems interesting. I'll add this to my list. I don't know about this one. This. I hate ads, but my main account has YouTube Premium. See, this would be. This would be something I would watch on my own. It's not really something that I could react to, just because like it looks to be like some sort of class or something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. The link to the original video will be in the description down below. So I'll catch you next time. Yeah, take care. Goodbye.